Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we have an exciting review for you. As you all know, I've been looking at foldable phones recently, so I've decided to pick up the Google Pixel 9 Pro Fold. It's the foldable that we've all been waiting for, I think, after the first Pixel Fold was good, but needed a lot of improvements, but was probably one of the best foldables on the market at the time. We've looked at the Honor Magic V3, which was an excellent foldable, but it just isn't available in all markets, so it misses the US out completely. So I wanted to find a foldable phone that was in the US market as well to recommend to people who live in the US. So I think the two main foldables in the US are the Samsung Fold 6 and the Google Pixel 9 Pro Fold. Both of which, so I've not actually got a Samsung one in the studio. I have tried it out in the shop and it is an excellent phone. So here is the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, and this has been an excellent phone so far. The build quality is second to none and the screens are excellent. So let's get into this review and find out my thoughts on this 9 Pro Fold. So when Google launched this Pixel 9 Pro Fold, people were very excited about it after the initial fold because that had been very popular, but the price point had put a lot of people off. So, and this is still an expensive phone, but people felt that this phone gave you a lot more value for money than the original Fold phone. So, everything on this phone has been designed from the ground up. So let's think about is this the performance powerhouse that this foldable needed to be, and whether it is worth the 1749 asking price at full list price. So at the moment it's on discount, but that is the full list price. And I think that is the main question we need to ask in this video. Is it worth your money? Let's start off with getting into the design and build quality of this phone and how it compares to my other foldable phones I've tried out and what I think about everyday use and real world use, of course, as we always do on this channel. So let's talk about the design of the phone. So the Pixel 9 Pro Fold is a sleek and modern, aesthetically built, premium built phone. It's got a 7.6-inch OLED display that opens up inside here, as you can see, which is beautiful. It's one of the best foldable displays I've seen, and it feels really well made to hold. The build quality, the hinge, everything about it feels really nicely made. So the screen on the inside is a full 120 hertz panel, OLED screen, flexible OLED screen. And I know some people have seen some reviews on the online where people have actually snapped these folds in half. But to me, it feels really well made and really durable. I can't, unless you actually on purposely snapped it, I don't think you'd have a problem with it. And it folds pretty much, as you can see here, pretty much flat there on this, as you can see. I think in terms of using it as an everyday sort of mini tablet and foldable phone, it feels fine. The hinge on it feels really good, and the screen feels really nice. We've got vibrant colors on both displays. So both displays are 120 hertz panels. Both displays offer LTPO technology, and the external display is 6.2 inches on the outside, which is quite nice to have because it's a pretty big display still. So it's as big as nearly an iPhone 16 Pro. So the trade-off in having that bigger screen is that you've got a slightly wider design phone. So if you imagine this and you put a case on it, it gives you quite a bulky phone. So this is the first thing I noticed when I picked up this phone, is how bulky it was carrying around in my pocket with a case on it. So you're going to want to put a case on this because it is a really, really expensive phone. And if you drop them, the screens cost a lot of money to replace. So if you're going to go caseless, make sure you insure it, because these are not as well made in terms of durability as non-folding phones, simply because the design on the hinge is the problem with all folding phones. So they're getting better, but it's still only water resistant. It's not waterproof, and also is not dust proof. So that's just one thing to bear in mind. So the hinge feels really sturdy and smooth, offering a satisfying snap. So I hope I can get the sound. So like that. So the magnets hold it really strongly in place when you open and close it. And Google has obviously put a lot of thought, a lot into making this phone as durable as possible after the original Pixel Fold. So that was quite a durable phone for its first attempt. And this, I think they've done a really good job at redesigning this and giving it an elegant look alongside the Pixel 9 Pro and the Pixel Pro XL, which are two of my favorite phones, two of my favorite Android phones on the market at the moment. So we've touched on the sort of display quality on these, and we've said they're both 120 Hz panels, and you will not be disappointed by the displays. The displays are great for watching video on, for looking at photographs on. They've got no problems here. You can the video playback is excellent on both screens, and when you open up the actual phone itself, the video playback continues absolutely fine. So one of the downsides of a foldable phone, and so this was any foldable phone, is that the aspect ratio inside the screen, so when you open it up, so it's great for, I find the screen is really good for sort of multitasking on, and it has some really good multitasking features on it. So you can have two screens side by side for doing document work on. So it is like a mini tablet. But when you're watching films on it or videos, the aspect ratio is kind of strange. So it gives you very thick black bars because you've got a very strange aspect ratio. So that is the only downside to a foldable phone, is actually for watching films, you don't actually get that much more screen on to watch the film on than you would do on a normal phone. So you can easily watch the film on the outside screen as well. But the inside screen is great for you doing spreadsheets on, word processing, anything like that. And it is nice to have a portable tablet in your pocket. So some people are a fan of foldable phones, some people aren't. So I think in terms of, if you are a fan of foldable phones, this is a really good foldable to look at in terms of, and also, if you're new to foldable phones, this is a really good one to look at, simply because it's the best. Pixel tend to be the one people come from iPhone to first for Android world, because it's the most simple way of, well, people think it's the most simple way of entering the Android world. I actually don't agree. I think you can choose any Android phone out there. They're really easy to transfer data over. I've tried transferring it over from on a phone to an iPhone, from OnePlus, Oppo, all those ones, and they're all fine. So don't be put off by it. If you are looking to transfer over from an iPhone to an Android phone or give it a try out, this is the best time to do it. There's never been a better selection of Android phones on the market. Give it a go. Why not? Look, I review phones for a living, and I love Android. I do like iOS as well. I'm a big Apple fan, but I particularly like Android. I like the different phones on the Android world, and I love the foldable phones. I'm using my Honor Magic V3 now as my main daily phone. I was going to sell it, but I couldn't because I just love it so much. So this is one thing compared to the Honor. One thing I noticed, and I have the Honor over here, it's got its case on still, is the Honor is actually so much thinner and weighs less than the Pixel. So the Pixel, on here it doesn't look like it, but with the case, remember this has got a case on. And the Pixel is quite a bulky phone, as mentioned. So the Honor has a slightly narrower screen factor on the front, but it has a nicer overall design, in my opinion. So I know the Honor's not available in all markets, but if you've got are in the UK, or you've got somewhere we can buy the Honor, do take a look at the Honor Magic 3 as well, because I think it really compares really well to the Pixel. So under the hood on the Pixel is the Tensor G4 chip, which is powering the same Pixel 9 Pro XL, and Pixel 9 and the 9 series. And it's a step up from the G3 that was in the Pixel 8 Pro, but it's not a massive leap in performance. So if you look at something like the Honor phone, this has got the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 in it. I've just been testing out the OnePlus 13 that's got a Snapdragon Elite in it. That is one powerful phone. You can run games on it, and it feels so fast to move around. And one thing I did notice moving over back, so I used to have a Pixel 9 Pro XL, which I sold. And one thing I've noticed moving back to this Pixel form and trying it out again is how it feels a little bit sluggish compared to the Snapdragon powered phones. And that is not a criticism as such, because I'm aware that the Tensor isn't as powerful. It's more about AI, but it just does not feel as powerful now as the Snapdragon phone. So I think when Google released the Pixel 10, I think they're meant to be moving on to a faster CPU platform with the Tensor 5 chip, but we'll have to wait and see for that. And the battery life isn't quite as good. The power, on the Tensor chip powered phones, because it's not as power efficient as the Snapdragon chips and the other phones. It's not quite as just in everyday use. Like if you want it for gaming, don't get this for gaming because it's not as powerful as the Honor. I tried it out next to the Honor with the Snapdragon Elite, and it just isn't as fast, it isn't as powerful. So just don't. I would, if you're going to do a lot of mobile gaming, look elsewhere over the Pixel brand, because it just isn't a gaming phone. I think the Android 15 that it runs is a really nice bloatware-free version. So the Honor version on this and the Oppo version I've got on it, all those kind of their own touch on Android, and they're not as good as the stock Android 15 that Google put on their phone. So it's the best Android experience on a Pixel, I think, still, in terms of without bloatware, and also the software, how it runs. It just runs better on the Pixel phones, partly because Google designed the thing. So it's not a slow phone by any means. Don't think this is a slow phone, but once you've tried out, like I've tried out these faster phones, it feels a little bit more sluggish, just installing apps and moving around. But it will run games, but not as well as the other phones. It's not a gaming phone, but it does have some great features on it, and don't be put off just by the Tensor chips. The Tensor does run quite hot as well sometimes, but nowhere near as hot as the Tensor 3. So they've really sorted that out because it's got a new vapor cooling system in it, and it's amazing how much tech they've crammed into this phone. And it is a great phone. I do like this phone. I always will like Pixels, and I will always say they're a good phone because they are generally a good phone. So now let's talk about the cameras on the phone, because the cameras are one of the areas that foldable phones tend to fall down in, and that's why I've often chosen. So originally I was going to pick up the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, and I didn't. I went for the 9 Pro XL instead because the camera on it I felt would not be as good. So what you've got here is you've got a wide camera, the standard main wide camera, which is a 48 megapixel quad wide camera. It has a decent aperture and it has a half-inch image sensor size, so it's not a bad camera. That's a pretty good camera. And you've got the ultra wide, which is a 10.5 megapixel, and a telephoto at 10.8, and they've all got a lot smaller sensors, and they are basically copies of the camera that they brought off the original Pixel Fold, which has improved slightly. So this is where everyone was worried about the cameras letting the Pixel down because of the fact the specifications were not as good as other foldable phones. So the Samsung probably has better cameras on it. But where Google managed to pull this back is in their AI photography. So having tried out the cameras, I've actually been quite impressed by the quality on them. So the cameras produce pretty good pictures for the actual resolution. So the specs might not look stunning on the actual specifications, but when you get the camera out into the real world and real world use, it actually gives decent photographs. I've taken some great portraits, some great telephoto shots, and the AI system is really good at cleaning those shots up. And it has the same problems as the original Pixel 9 Pro XL review I did a few months ago. When you put it in full resolution and whack that shutter sensor on full, hitting it a lot of times, taking a lot of photos, the camera can slow right down because of the Tensor 4 chips. It takes you back to the whole problem of the Tensor 4 being too slow. So if Google would just give us a faster CPU in these phones, this would be market leader by any sketch. So if just improve the sensor improve the CPU performance on these phones, and Google would be absolutely thrashing the competition. It just takes that little bit of it's just lagging behind with the Tensor. It just lets it down occasionally. But that's the only criticism really of this phone, is because the cameras actually for me are pretty good. Like, I don't have any major complaints on the cameras at all. I thought I would. And the front camera is a 10 megapixels. So it's not like 24 megapixel on, I was thinking about 34 megapixel on the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, but it's really good. I've taken some selfies with it and it's not bad at all. And one of the features I do like on the camera on this, which is really helpful if you have children, is the thing called Made You Look. So you can literally open the screen up and put a nice picture of a chicken on the screen, and it does work. It merely helps you take a picture of your kids. I've got some great shots of my kids that I would not have got otherwise using that. So that's a really good feature that Google actually thought about in everyday, people will be using in everyday real world use, and it works. I don't like the Google Add Me thing. I've tried it a few times. I can't get it to work very well. I'm not keen on it. I used it on the 9 Pro XL sometimes, but it's a bit gimmicky. It's not something I would particularly get a lie on. One thing I do like about the foldables, though, and this is like about the Honor as well, is that you can split it so you can have the camera like that, open the camera app, and then you can take a picture of yourself. So it's quite useful for me as a creator because I can take lots of shots of me holding products and stuff. So that works really well as well. So that's a really nice feature on the camera to have. So obviously you've also got so there's two selfie cameras on this. So there's another camera on the inside here, which is exactly the same resolution as the camera on the outside and gives exactly the same performance for FaceTime. So WhatsApp calls, Google Meet calls, Zoom calls, it's all fine for that. And you've got a nice big screen. So the screen works really well for WhatsApp video calls, I find. That's one thing it does work really well for. And it's got the camera, as mentioned, like the Add Me thing, has got most of the main features built into it that the other Pro series have got on them. So it's got night shift, it's got portrait mode, it's got the long exposure mode, it's got night sight mode, astrophotography, panorama. It's got most things on it that you would expect on a pro camera system. So it does have the pro features. It just doesn't. The camera's not as good as the Pixel 9 Pro XL, but it did impress me more than I thought it would. So now let's move on to battery life and charging features of this phone and how I found it in everyday real world use. So the battery life on a foldable has always been a bit of an iffy situation because obviously you're driving essentially 3 screens on the phone. So it's got a 5,000 milliamp battery, I think, or it might be 4,000 for something. It's a bit under the what the Honor has on their phones. It's got a pretty good battery on it, and it's not silicon carbon. But you can get a full day's use out of it. Yes, it does. If you use the main screen, if you use the inside screen a lot throughout the day, it will deplete pretty quick and you'll be charging it more often, which is the same on all foldables. Like if you're going to be using it like that, you'll get a day's use out of it. I've actually had 2 days use out of the Honor one, so that does give you more use out of it than the Pixel, simply because it's got a bigger battery and silicon carbon. One area that lets the Pixel down is charging speed. The max charging speed I could get out of this is about 27 watts, I think it is, which is not very quick. Whereas the Honor, for example, charges at 66 watts, which means I can top up the battery in a few minutes to half an hour. And it just makes such a difference. Like if Google and Apple would please give us faster charging speeds on their phone, it would just make the world of difference and just mean it a lot easier for us to top up our phones midday when we're out of charge. It does have wireless charging, but there was some problems with Google had where they've kind of offset the magnetic coil too much, so it doesn't work with the original Pixel stand, which is a real shame. And people have had problems charging it in their wireless pads in the cars and stuff. And I did try it, and it's not as easy as the Honor to put on charging pads. So just bear that in mind. The wireless charging doesn't work quite as well as on other phones, but it's fine. Like it does work when you get it lined up, and it charges fast enough for most people overnight and everything like that. So don't worry too much about that. Let's just quickly touch on the screen materials as well. So it's Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on the front cover, and the metal frame is aluminium, so it shouldn't scratch that easily. The inside screen is more susceptible to scratching because it's a soft material, and it will actually scratch with your fingernails, so just be really careful with that. But the outside screen should be more than scratch resistant, as the same as the 9 Pixel Pro XL and the 9 Pro, the normal one, it should be the same. So, and it comes with the same 7 years of security updates as the other Pixel phones, so it should last a long time. It's currently on offer for 1,428, I think, for the 256 gigabyte version, which is why I picked up. So it's on, and if you trade a phone in, you get even more money off. So you can probably pick this up for about £1,000. So if you want the foldable screen and a decent camera system, go for the Pixel 9 Pro Fold. You will not be disappointed. Just please bear in mind the Tensor G4 limitations, and also the camera system is not quite as good as the best ones out there. So thank you for watching the review. I hope that's covered everything. If you've got any questions, drop the line in the comments down below and I'll get back to you. And I'll let you know how I go on with this and if I have any more problems with it. So thank you for watching, and please subscribe if you haven't done already.